Welcome to Live from Plato's Cave. I am Mario Veen. This is episode 42, The Soul's Task on Earth with Dorita Sleur. Thank you to everyone who supports this show through Patreon. It really means a lot to me. And you can also support the show through sharing it, subscribing, or giving it 5 stars. And I have a book about Plato's allegory of the cave that is available for pre-order. So far you can only order it in Dutch and it's called Hoe Plato je uit je grot sleurt, or How Plato Drags You Out of Your Cave. And you can order it through the link in the description. Actually, while writing that book, I had a quote of Plato's allegory on my desk that my aunt sent to me. It said, "You may liken the upward journey and the study of things above as the upward journey of the soul." And that brings me to my conversation with Dorita. Let's talk about the soul. Because, as you know, this is an interdisciplinary philosophy podcast. And I've tried to do episodes on different aspects of life or different disciplines of life. We've had a bunch of episodes on science and on philosophy, of course, and on politics and art. But besides philosophy, science, politics and art, there's another aspect of life that, for me personally, is probably the one that occupies me most, and that is spirituality. But how do I talk about spirituality on this podcast? I find talking about spirituality one of the hardest things to do, even though, or should I say because, it's so important to me. I've only done one episode on it actually. If you remember, it's episode 14, about food and spirituality with Ilan Tessa. Talking about spirituality and the soul quickly devolves in debates about religion, about science versus spirituality, about the existence of God. But that's not really what spirituality is to me, at least not its essence. Long story short, I do want to do more episodes on this important part of life. And even if you don't consider yourself a spiritual person, this podcast is about looking at life from different angles. And sometimes the angle that is most useful is the one that you don't already agree with. I could think of no better way to start this than to interview the person who has without a doubt been the most important teacher on my own spiritual path. Her name is Dorita Sleur, and she doesn't follow a certain religion, she doesn't use a method that you can read about in a book, and she isn't even very well known, although I wouldn't be surprised if that changes in the coming years. And she also goes by the name of Satanama sometimes. Recently, Dorita published a short book, and it's called The Soul's Task on Earth. You can get it through the link in the description, and it's only about €4. Dorita also has a podcast called The Soul's Light, and I'll post some other links in the show notes if you want to connect to her work. She's been a spiritual teacher and healer for I don't know how long, and she has helped many people in different ways. But the way she works changes, so yeah, just check it out and see what she's doing now if you're interested. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Dorita. Well, I'm very happy to speak to you. So for this podcast, I of course invite more people than the people listening to this here, because sometimes I don't get a response or sometimes it takes me a while for people to get on the podcast. But I think you're the guest that, when did I ask you the first time if I could interview you?
1.5 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Go.
So I'm very happy to have you here. And I think it's also, for me personally, it's a different kind of interview because my other project, you know him as well, is to try to get my Tai Chi teacher on the podcast. And he keeps telling me, yeah, maybe sometime, but... yeah, and I also consider you one of my teachers.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Well, I think, yeah, of course you know that. But so I'm kind of also searching, like, what kind of conversation can I have with you that is also interesting for people who have been listening to this podcast. And so this is your cat. Let's start with how many animals do we have in the house?
3 cats, 2 rabbits, and a dog.
Yeah. So if you hear a little bit noise in the background, it's one of these. So we're going to talk about spiritual things like healing and angels and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it's good to start with a question about, are you in a certain spiritual tradition or in a certain religion?
No, I am not. Though my mom raised us a bit to be Christian. So, but we actually didn't go to church, although as a child, I got the message like I need to follow God. And I thought if I'm going to church or any other religious place, that I can find God. So as a young child, I was searching for that. I didn't tell my mom. My mom didn't really want to go to church.
The cat wants more food. We thought the dog was going to be the problem, but the cat is
Cat is asking more attention. Yeah. Yeah, I was on my search for God, thinking that I need to follow God.
How old were you then?
I was very young. I think I was 5, 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was before we moved, I already sensed that.
Because you were born in Suriname.
I was born in Suriname and I came here when I was 5 years old. So, but though my mom spoke about God, had the Bible, but we actually never went to church. And later, I was on my search, but I didn't really follow a religion. I was looking for truth, so people got really a bit crazy about me because I was asking always questions and being conscious of things and awareness. And I was not reading books when I was younger. That came later a bit, but I was interested in life, and that was the main thing, I think. I was interested in life. What is this? Why do we feel this? Why do we have these emotions? So many questions crossed my path or my journey, and I can still remember that when I visited my sister, that we wanted to watch a movie, and she had a little daughter, and her daughter was saying, my niece was saying, yeah, always when Dorita comes, you talk a lot. You talk a lot. And we hardly watched the movie, actually, because I was always busy with questioning things. And I really, really wanted to understand. I knew since I was a child that I needed to follow a spiritual path, but I didn't know how.
Because if you want to follow a spiritual path, if your parents are Catholic or something, it makes sense you go in the Catholic church, or maybe you discover Buddhism, you become a Buddhist. Yeah.
Exactly. And I didn't feel like doing that. There was nothing in me that wanted to go in those directions. But I did knew I need to follow a spiritual path. So I followed a mystical path at first in the beginning. So I was looking for things and working and energies and many things. So
what do you mean by a mystical path? Because later you also had a kind of a new age spiritual shop, which was called Mystieke Winkeltje, so the mystical shop.
Yeah, the mystical shop. Yes. My family, a part of my family, was related to or busy with the AMORC, the Ancient Mystic Order of Rosicrucis. And so I thought, oh, that's my direction. Maybe I should do that and become a healer in that sense. But then I was busy with that, and then I realized this is not for me. I did some Reiki. I was like, okay, let me do some Reiki then. But it didn't. I got tired of doing Reiki, and. But for the shop, before the shop came, I saw something about Melchizedek. I saw the Golden Book of Melchizedek, and I saw that.
By Joshua Stone.
By Joshua Stone. And I ordered the book, but then I saw something about angels and angelic cards. And I draw a card on the internet, and I was like, it was amazed because I cried. I cried for 2 weeks. I was so overwhelmed. I ordered the cards, I got them, and I cried. And I kept crying for a while. And it touched me so deep in my heart. And then it happened. Then I saw Archangel Michael coming to me and wrote on the window his name. I am Archangel Michael. I said, who are you? And it was kind of in a dream vision. So in a state where you are more conscious in a dream.
Were you sleeping in a dream when you were sleeping?
Yeah, it was when I was sleeping, but I was conscious in that dream. And then I'm asking him, I said, who are you? And he said, I'm Archangel Michael. And he wrote his name down in big letters. And then he wrote more than 50 angel names. And he said, this is my legions of angels, and they are there for you to help you. And since then, Archangel Michael was always with me, and the angels were with me. And I needed to start, what you said, a mystical shop. And the mystical, I didn't plan to do a mystical shop. And I was starting with ascension classes too. And they told me, the energies were telling me, you have to do a shop. I said, why do I have to do a shop? I'm not a seller.
Tell me about, so this is the difficult thing about interviewing someone you know already.
Yeah.
So I can ask you, but I already know the answer, but what is your professional background?
Oh, my professional background. You mean from before I became this spiritual?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. I'm an econometrician.
Yeah.
So I worked as an investment analyst and a researcher for a few years until I was in between jobs, and I felt a bit strangled, and I thought, no, I'm not here to do this. And then I laid on bed and I asked God, please let me do on earth why I'm here. And then life changed for me. And then it happened that I saw with Archangel Michael in the story about that.
Yeah, so first you worked in finance, and then it turned out you started a kind of a spiritual shop. Yeah. With crystals and books and samples,
with many things,
all those kind of things.
Yeah, but then something else happened, because this shop was not an ordinary shop. People had experiences there. They felt they came in the shop and they said, I need to be here. I don't know why. I pushed in this shop. I literally, really amazing thing happened in that shop. And then I got the message, you need to give healings here. And I was like, how can I give healings here? This is a shop. And so it went in a certain transformation to make me clear about what I need to do and who I am. And it was a really nice period, the shop. And
did you have any training for giving healings? Because you said you did some Reiki or something like that?
Yeah, I didn't really had a training for that. I didn't had... It came to me. Yeah. It came to me. The moment I said, no, Reiki is not for me, and I will, I would just channel, I call it the God force, the light force, I call that. I channeled those energies, and then things changed when I gave healings and received message, and
I'm still thinking about what does mystical mean. What I've read is that there's in different spiritual traditions, but also religions, there's always, I don't know what the alternative is actually, but there's the mystical side, and there's the more, let's say, traditionally religious side. For instance, in Islam, there's the traditional Islam, but there's also Sufism. In Christianity, there's, this book with the mystical city of God or something like that, for like the people who had visions. And in Judaism, you say like in Judaism, there's of course the Kabbalah, and there's like a path where you go and you follow kind of the external rules, and there's a path where you have kind of a direct contact. So when I hear your story now again, that's just what I think of, is that you did look at different spiritual paths and traditions and all that things. But in the end, how it came to you is that you had a dream and you had this very private experience where you feel, oh, now this is what I need to do. Now this is what I need to do.
Yeah, well, frankly...
in the sense, If I want to know how you look at all these things, which book are you following, or which? I don't think you can give me an answer.
No, I can't give you an answer because, frankly, I didn't read a lot of books. I had a bookstore, but I didn't read a lot of books. Or only a few. But it actually came to me, and I became aware, and I knew things I never thought of in this lifetime. So and that's why the things went really fast for me, and some people were amazed by that. Like, okay, what other people are doing in 5 years, you were doing in just a month. So it was like I was a gate, and I received all that information, and I knew things about life. I knew things about love, and the light, which I actually did not read or thought about before.
So this was in your story. We were when you started to give healings in this spiritual shop, but you didn't do it because you followed like a course in how to give healings.
No.
But you got the message. Okay, this is what I need to do now, and then
I just did it, and I did many things in that spiritual shop. I even did when people were asking me about doing an Indian puja. I did even puja for them if they wanted to. I didn't know at that time. It was for me. I think my shop was for me to learn about all the energies and what there is. So when people were open to come and receive or ask me something, I was trying to actually a bit fulfill their need. In that sense, I gave initiations too, and that was given to me. And the energies of the initiations were very, very powerful, and that had to do then with Egypt and the pyramids and Isis. But then the shop needed to go, and another journey started for me because it was not about the things I was doing in the shop. I did some things. I gave some meditations and healings, but I was looking for something else. If I look back now, because I was not really, let's say, satisfied. When I had the shop, I was in this bright light and doing and being busy. But after that, I was like, what is there? What is there? And now I know. Since a few months, I really realized, like, wow, another gate opened for me.
Mm-hmm.
Things changed. And it changed from the moment I realized that I was giving a healing to somebody, and normally the energies would take the things away. And they said to me, you have to do this. And that's actually when it started for me to realize there is something more. And there's something more with me too. And so I went for that research to really like, okay, I need to do this. I need to take this away from this person. And I was guided. The angels guided me like how to do this. And it was amazed because it had effect. It worked. And I'm still amazed because it was quite simple for me to do. And I didn't realize it. I had that in my power to do. Mm-hmm. And then I went on a deeper search about that, and then the questions really came for me like, okay, I let go of everything I knew. I just want to know really what is truth. And I was like, no, I let go. And I even let go of God. I had that period also that I was really like, I let go of that. I just want to know the truth. And then I had to write this little book just with this information. And first they said this information is for me to understand. Now I can share it.
Yeah. So you first wrote it for yourself because you want to. Yeah. You want to know what is it, what is it really like?
What is really like? Yeah.
Well, or let's. Yeah. What is your question then? If you say, okay, I want to know the truth, what do you mean?
Yeah, I wanted to know the truth of life. I wanted to know because I thought first Earth is a school for the soul. And then I
like we are born here as a soul, we incarnate here, and then
and we face all these problems, we see all these things, and we need to learn something from it.
Yeah, like if you relationships and everything like that, you can learn something, and it gives you something, and by the end of your life, maybe you've made some progress and you graduate.
You graduate, exactly. You graduate, and when you learn to work with these things and energy is a bit and those things, and then you graduate because you feel like you are a bit enlightened, and that you can have control about yourself. So I thought Earth, I was really thinking for years, Earth is really the school for the soul. But I've learned otherwise now. They showed me otherwise. It's not that. And what they showed me was that we are these beautiful soul beings, that we incarnate in a field of dual consciousness, and that we are here only to, let's say, clean. We're here to clean. We are here to take the burdens. We are here to heal the burdens we carry with us. And so that our soul shines the light and be present here. But there's much more around it.
Let's start with, you say we incarnate in this dual consciousness.
Yeah.
What is dual consciousness?
The dual consciousness is actually where we have an opposite of things and where we have feelings and emotions such as pain. But when we have the opposite of happiness and sorrow, light and dark. Even small and big.
Yeah, all the dualities.
All the dualities.
Let's say the Plato's cave with the shadows. So, yeah. So when people say, for instance, you can only be happy because if you're sad, or you can only have light if there's darkness.
Exactly.
And that's the dual consciousness.
That's the dual consciousness. And some people ask me before, like, hey, okay, why did God create this world? If God can take it away like that. And I thought, oh yeah, no, but we need to learn something from it.
So in the sense, like, why is there so much, if we turn on the news today, it's pretty clear there's a lot of suffering in the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the questions. If it's also one of the questions that turns people off from religion and everything, I think, when they say, well, if God exists, how come there's so much suffering? That's probably like the $1 million question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have an answer to that?
In fact, God does not exist.
Okay.
Sorry to say. I'm so sorry for the ones who are really believing, but I was really like myself busy with God. I even had after the shop, I did have a small temple, and I went in the beautiful energies I discovered, and now I realized what the dual consciousness really is, and what we humans actually create here, which is in the dark and in the light too. But I call it the dual light and the dual darkness. So, but that's not the truth. And there is the truth is something else, and that goes beyond, and that is really the light. So then I was really like, but yeah, does God exist? And the angels were telling me, no, humans created that. From love. It came from love, and it has a beautiful vibration. And I had beautiful experiences, or people had I didn't have the experience, but people had those experiences from that light, from God's light. But yeah.
Yeah, because you can always ask, like, okay, in what way do you mean exist? Because, for instance, if I see, Or I have this story. It happened years ago. I wanted to meet with a friend in to see a movie. Tuesday, 8:00, and I come there and I wait and I wait and I wait, and he's not there, and I start getting angry, and because why is he always late and everything? So I have all these emotions like, why doesn't he come, and he's always late, and I'm gonna tell him when he contacts me. And then I come home and I text him, and he said, well, actually we were going to meet tomorrow. So it wasn't real. So it didn't, let's say it didn't exist that we had a meeting there. But what did exist were my feelings, because my anger really existed. So just as an example of like, people can experience all sorts of things in life, right? Yeah. So they can experience, to speak about God, people can experience beautiful experiences related to God, and to say, well, doesn't exist, doesn't mean so. If an atheist says that, they might mean, well, it's just like in your brain and you're deluded or something like that. But I don't think you mean it in that sense, right?
No, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that, because we have this dual consciousness where we can create anything. That is like, maybe you can see that part as the school for the souls to play, because we can create anything in this in this consciousness, and it can be from going really dark to really beautiful light, and people can have those experiences, but they keep themselves in this duality if they keep on relating themselves to that as truth.
Yeah, so that's the key thing. Is it the truth?
Is it truth or not? And so even some spiritual people who are busy with being light and things, I have seen, but that's not truth.
Yeah,
it is not truth, and it is like you need to how you say that? I wanted to say skip it or something, to like, no, you have to step over it. To really come like, but what is then truth?
So maybe maybe this is a nice segue to Plato's allegory, right? Because there, the first part, you could say this is the duality consciousness, where you watch shadows on the wall and you see opposites, but you don't realize it's actually from a source behind you. But then when he's liberated, he goes through many things and many layers. And one of the things is that why are the shadows projected is because of the statues that they carry in front of the fire.
Yeah.
But then you could say, wow, I know the truth because the statues are the things projecting the shadows on the wall. But then he hasn't even been upstairs. So that's not, it's not to say that is not true, or it's more accurate, or it explains what is going on in life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the whole story yet.
Nope.
Because that's just the fire and the puppets, whoever is carrying them, right? That is creating our experience in the world.
Yeah.
Because then he still goes more up to the surface, and then he sees the sun and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I always try to explain about the dark and light in with a lamp. That because people say there can't be light without darkness.
Yeah.
And that's true in the dual consciousness. But I explain them about the lamp. And when light is shining, or a light bulb, light is shining, it shines. Try to put darkness into that light. And you can't. You can't put darkness into that light.
Yeah.
But you can create shadow. And when you create shadow, you put something in front of the light, and then you have the shadow. But that means that the shadow doesn't have, let's say, a right on their own. The shadow cannot exist without the light, but the light can exist without the shadow.
One of my friends once said, a shadow is not a thing, it's a place where light can't get because something is in between.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot have shadows without light because otherwise you don't have contrast. You just have pitch dark, right? You cannot see the shadows, but you can have light with no shadows.
Yeah, yeah. When the light shines, it shines. And it's, I can experience, I had my first light experience years ago, that I was sleeping in an attic, and it was dark, really dark. And suddenly I had this light in my consciousness, like bang, like somebody turned out the light. And that was for me the real light. Like, wow. It was, I opened my eyes and it was complete dark still, but I had this light. So yeah, that was my first experience of really about light. Like, okay, very impressive.
We're talking about your experiences, and of course, if you say, well, this is what I experienced, that is only you can experience that. Nobody else can experience that for you.
Yeah.
And you're not saying, look, I have this book or this book or this book that I get my things from. So people could read the book and then get that. What I'm thinking now is I'm used to speaking with you. But how does this come across for people who are not used to speaking about things like light and darkness and everything like that? In the sense that what the point I'm trying to make is like if you hear us speaking and you haven't yourself had an experience with light, which probably, I shouldn't say that because I think everyone has had those experiences, but it's a matter of recognizing them.
Yeah.
I think if you haven't had that, it becomes very difficult to kind of intellectually try to understand it because you're speaking about experience.
Yeah. Yeah. What I say to people who didn't had experience, I'm talking about it, and the thing is, because you didn't have the experience, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and we can work on getting getting an experience too.
Yeah, we can maybe speak about two things. One is maybe you can give some examples of the type of experiences you're talking about, but that's also very difficult because that's also very individual, right? Yeah. For instance, I could say, well, listening to, for instance, like this beautiful gospel music. Yeah. Sometimes you get this feeling when you notice they're really, the singer is really spiritual and they really get into it, and you get this feeling, and it's more you cannot explain it. For me, that would work because I can recognize that. But for somebody else, maybe that doesn't work. So
yeah, that's true. We are all different. We are all different in a way of sensing things and where we are in life and how we do want to see or feel things. So some people, when they start meditating, for others it might work immediately. Others might even open up to see visions or things, and for others it might take some time to really have a certain experience. Or noticing that we're all different in a way to experience.
But having said that, maybe it does help to just give a few examples of what you're talking about. So there's a chance that people recognize something.
Well, to recognize some things, I can talk about, I think, miracles. Yeah. Miracles. I like that because I have many, many miracles happen to me, especially with my car. For example, when I was first really conscious of the angels, I was working with the angels in the beginning. I was really like, oh my God, so really overwhelmed by this beautiful energy with so much love. And I was driving my car. I had a Renault Megane at that time, and it was driving on gas. And I was no member of the, how you say that, the road service thing?
The people that help you when your car breaks down,
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how you call it in English. And I needed to get some gas. And I was at the petrol station where I couldn't get gas, and there was only one pump for the gas. And there was this big 4x4 car standing there. And then I saw that they had problems. And then this car service came and I needed to wait. And I was actually in a hurry. And I was like, oh my God, oh no, the car is broken down. And it's standing there in front of them. They couldn't take it away there. It was a very small petrol station. So they couldn't push the car to the side. It needed to stand there in front of the gas pump. And the guy checked the car, and then he started the car, and the car was working. Nothing wrong with the car. So the people left. And I thought, okay. I turned on my car again, and it didn't start. My car didn't start. And I was like, this is a sign. Can't be. I stepped out of my car, and I saw the guy from the help service filling in some forms. And I said, I think you didn't come for them. I think you came for me, but I'm not with the help service. And he said to me, like, okay, I can help you, but then you should become a member. Mm. And then he checked my car, and there was something broken in my car, and he fixed it. And I became a member since then. And it was for me like incredible, because the service was already there. I've had it even another time, because I drove my car for a very long time, so many things happened to it. I was getting off the highway and standing in front of the traffic light, and I hear a very loud boom under the car. Boom! And I knew that something broke and fell on the floor. And I looked in the mirror to see if there was a car behind me, because I needed to put on, of course, my the lights that I couldn't drive. And it was a help service car standing really right behind me. And can you imagine that at that moment there is somebody there to immediately help you?
You just look in your rear view mirror and
it was there already. Yeah. So that made me think as well about what is happening. How can this be that? I knew that the angels sent them, but they knew beforehand already that something would happen. I didn't know that, and the help was already there. I even went to the Arunachala mountain in India to go and sit and meditate for a few days there on the mountain. And my guides were really telling me, you have to leave now. So I left, I think at 5 o'clock in the morning, I left the ashram and went to the mountain, took my shoes off and went barefoot on the mountain. And then at one point I was walking, and I said, oh, I need to go to that cave. How do I get to that cave? Because I really don't know where that cave is. And then maybe not even 10 or 20 seconds later, a man comes to me walking down, and I went up, and he said, where do you need to go? I said, I need to go to the cave. I said, I'll bring you. It's like I thought it, and it happened. No. And that was really incredible. So yeah, I think from these experiences, it's maybe not that something you feel, because that's for everybody, I think, different. But I think through miracles, or things happen in your life, and I think people have miracles in their life, but they didn't see it like that, that they should think about it like, hey, something is happening here. That's my experience too, that I think they call it also synchronicity, that the example they always give is you think about something and then that moment they call you. Yeah. And if that happens one time, you can say, oh, it's just coincidence. But my own experience as well, and from what I've heard from people around it, is that if you start to, so maybe that's interesting if you're listening to this and you're a bit skeptical, you can, just experiment. Mm-hmm. Just be open for, three synchronicities happening in the next time. Just try to, because that's the thing you have to, that's my personal idea, is that we experience so much more than we think. Yeah. Because that's the thing, our thinking gets in the way. We want to rationalize everything. We want to make sense of everything logically. And I know, because I've done philosophy for a long time. And one of the things that many philosophers say as well is that, but there's a limit to that. Mm. It might actually get you in trouble. It might, it might get you the feeling that you're on the right path, but you're actually heading in the wrong direction. Yeah. Because you're, for instance, only following logic. Mm-hmm. And well, there are actually examples from history where you can see what that can create. So it's also, I think, about
like opening yourself, right? Being open to it. And if you're not open to it, I think there's also not much that can happen or that people can say or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I do want to share one experience I had with a healing with somebody who was really not believing and into whatever I was doing. This guy was was the boyfriend of somebody who came to my shop before, and she took him along, and she really wanted him to meet me, and we were talking for only a few minutes, and he was like, "Yeah, this is not for me. I'm leaving." I said, "That's fine. It's fine. Everybody must have their own feeling for things, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. So no problem at all." And the guy left. 2 weeks later, she sent me a message. "Can he come for a session with you?" I said, "Well, he can, but does he want to himself? Because he must not do it for you. He must want it himself." And she said, like, no, he asked me to come. And he came. And we talked for, I think, for more than 2 hours. We were busy that day for more than 4 hours, almost 5 hours. We talked about stuff and about his experience and things. And he was a military. He fought in, I think, in Iraq and another country. So he did some tough work. And and we talked about things and consciousness. I can't remember the conversation, but then he went to lay on my table, on my healing table, and I started working with him with the energies. And I felt this energy going through me and keeping me busy and busy and busy. Before I knew it, he was on the table also for more than 2 hours. And at one point, I stopped because I could still continue. But I stopped. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop now. And so I finished. And then he came up and he said like, "Wow. I saw how darkness were pushed away, and I saw light coming from my crown into me and pushed the darkness out of my body." And that were the waves I was feeling all the time with me going through my hands and the energies. And he said to me like, "I'm coming back next week." I said, "Yeah, well, you have this experience now because that part is gone, so the experience will be different." So he returned maybe, I think, 3 or 4 times, and then I didn't see him again. So after 2 years, I think, he ran after me in the supermarket. He saw me, and he caught up with me, and he said like, "You never know what happened afterwards." I was like, "No, I don't." And he said, "I quit my job and I went to India. And he is busy with oneness healing and helping people and with energy." And that was somebody really like, yeah, normally you would say 360 turn around, but it was not 360, it's 180 because you come to the other end, otherwise you come to the same point. His life was really turned upside down, or not in a positive way. Turned around, and it was incredible. And he was so happy. He was really happy.
Yeah, which leads me to another question, because I've known you for, a long time, since 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And so I've seen many of these stories, and also just people who just like they just come with their girlfriend. Because their girlfriend is already like, how do you say, a spiritual person? We know the spiritual person, someone who does yoga and meditates and all that stuff. And then they have a boyfriend and they don't really like that, or the other way around. And then, you get these kinds of stories. But so my question is, because a few years back, you were also, and actually in the shop as well, you were organizing workshops and sessions and meditation things. There were like different groups of people always coming, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought, because I also thought I went to see Mother Amma when she came to the Netherlands, which is, if people don't know her, she's this beautiful Indian woman who travels the world, and all she does is give hugs.
Yeah.
She doesn't, she speaks a little bit, but mostly she's somewhere for 3 days, and 3 days long, from early in the morning until late in the night, she's hugging people, and people get in line. There's like, I don't know how many thousands of people, and people have the most incredible experiences. And, or someone like the Dalai Lama who travels around, or so I thought, okay, what I know, my experiences and what I know from these other people, that's what I thought that would be your path, right? We never know someone else's path, but sometimes we have ideas. I thought, okay, people just have to get to know you a little bit more, and then soon you'll be like traveling the world, and and maybe it will still happen. I don't know, but you also wrote a book. I don't want people to follow me. I want to find them the truth in themselves.
Yeah. Very long title.
So, how do you say that? Like, I don't want to ask you, like, is that your ambition? Because I know it's not. You don't want to like be this famous person for being famous or something like that. But is that? Do you see this as part of your path?
Yes, I do want people to find the truth. I do want to find them the truth in themselves. I know more clearly now from everything I've seen and the things that were shown to me, like kind of my own personal school, that now I went more beyond in understanding, hey, why are we here? Why are we here? And that's what I wrote in the book, to make it clear to people, to make really clear, like, hey, this is it. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. And it is about truth. It is finding that truth in yourself. It is finding that you are this incredible being of light. You have a soul light with you, and which you can use to change. And I thought as well, maybe I should maybe follow a path like Amma, but it was actually already told me in the beginning of my shop, it's not my path. But I was thinking like, but what can I do then? And no, for me, my path is to really bring the light, is to really make conscious of the light, is to make conscious of what you are, who you are, and that you use it. So it's not only the fact of knowing, like, hey, I am light. It's about using it. And my gift is that I can take away darkness. I can take away energies that do not belong to you. I know that not I cannot take away every energy, because some things people need to really follow their path or their journey, because they really need to discover that they are themselves the light. But I can help them release certain things so that they can discover it easier. I do not believe in endless therapy sessions also.
So sometimes people, in many spiritual traditions as well, people say, well, if you want to go out of Plato's cave, you need to find a guru.
Yeah.
I don't think you would say you're a guru, right?
No. But the funny thing is, I do want to tell you this, that somebody else told me, for years she's telling me, you're my guru. I said, I'm not your guru. You're your own guru. Don't give me that responsibility. But somebody else a few days even said it to me, like, hey, you initiated me at that time. You're my guru, actually.
So people can have experiences with Amma and follow Amma, or with Sai Baba, or all these. Sai Baba is not alive anymore, but I think that's also the tricky part, right? And we all know these stories about gurus that buy all these Rolls Royces, and it becomes like, I think maybe in the beginning they have good intentions, but maybe it also takes them over or something like that. So what I'm trying to say, like the dilemma is that if you can benefit from contact with somebody, like to kind of, open up something for you or just support you or whatever, however you would describe it. But then the dilemma is that you can become attached to that person because you think, only because of this person I can make the next step.
Yeah, I think the message from the guru should be really like, hey, it's all in you. Everything is in you already. And I can maybe guide you a bit and help you. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to help people to find it. But everything exists already in you. And you are me, I am you, and no one is better in that sense. And I think if we keep on following if we would keep following the gurus and see them, of course you can see them as more evoluted. Can you say evoluted?
Evolved.
They're more involved.
Spiritually evolved.
So you can have advantage of that, of course. But the aim is to discover that you can reach that point yourself or even go further.
I sometimes compare it with ayahuasca or something like that, right? Like, it's like I know some people that they took ayahuasca and they had a very nice experience, but now they think they can only have this experience by doing more ayahuasca. While the way I look at it is, I did mushrooms very, very long time ago. I did it only 2 times because it made me see something. But then I also felt like, because now I see that. I see something about the world. I cannot really explain it because I think that's the whole point. If we could explain it, then it would be very easy. But we're talking about things that you cannot explain and cannot tell people, it's just like this and this. But I felt something, really, I saw something truthful about the world. But because I saw that, I also needed to say, but it's not, if I now try to take it a 3rd time, then I will become dependent on it or something like that. So it's like, there's a philosopher, Wittgenstein, who says that, he speaks about language. He says it's like a ladder you can climb and you can look over the fence. But once you've seen what's on the other side of the fence, you don't need the ladder anymore. Yeah. So maybe it's a bit like that with gurus as well, that they can, because there's also many gurus that are just in it for the money, I guess. But
I think you have them in every size and form.
Of course, yeah. And people are also desperate for someone to give them something that can help them further. So then it's easy to find those people. But if you are talking about like really a true guru, then can help you or support you in seeing something, but you see it for yourself. Yeah. It's not that they did something to you or something. They also have to make you realize that now you see that, but actually you are the one that climbed the ladder. And now you don't need
supposed to climb the ladder. It's the thing is that I was for a while I was giving darshan to people, and
what's darshan for people who don't know?
The darshan is actually the seeing of a deity or a sage, or so you. And what Amma is doing is also kind of a darshan thing. Yeah. And I did darshan too. I opened something up with the third eye with people, and it took them high in the energies. It took them like, whoa, I'm seeing something like beautiful or shining and really nice. And people can hang into this feeling by every time returning, like I want to keep on seeing it by going to get the darshan every time. But the fact is that they have the experience, and the experience is good. But after a few days, they go back to the level of consciousness that they are living in, and not maybe totally return because they had an experience. So that experience has a certain influence on them, but they should follow the path.
Yeah.
They should walk it themselves. So you might see this, but it's not for you to go endlessly to the guru to stay in that energy. No, you have to walk that path. You see where you need to go, and that's the path you need to follow, to walk. You have to discover it yourself.
Yeah, there's. I just ordered this book just because of the title. It's called After Enlightenment, the Dishes, I think it's called. No, After Enlightenment, the Laundry.
Yeah.
Like you have this beautiful experience, but then you need to go back into your everyday life. You need to go, so you have a darshan, but the next day you have to show up for work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what are you doing then? Do you just go like try to take as many darshans as you can, or do you try to, from your work or where you live or your family or whatever, try to, because that's what happens many times when people follow a guru, is that they leave their family and everything behind. And I
think you have to do it in your life where you are in, to really where you are with your family and things. You need to find what is truly enlightenment, and that's what I speak about in this book. You are this incredible being, and for me it is not really because I think I said it before. We don't need endless therapies to release ourselves or to find the truth. From what I've seen is that the light is the truth, and that this light can take away this darkness from you, and so that you in fact don't really need to go to all these therapies. You need to understand what you are, who you are, and release yourself actually from that, from the things that are not showing you that, or from it, the burdens that keep that light away from you. And you need to find your way to do it. Yeah, you need to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You really need to do it yourself.
Which can also mean that you feel like, oh, I need to see a doctor or a therapist or something like that when you feel you need that, right? It doesn't mean like, I know that's not what you mean, but like there's also like these just healers that say, oh, don't go to the doctor because you can do everything yourself.
Yeah, no, it's not working like that. It's not working like that. It's I was really busy with that too. Like, how is this? How is this? You know, I am busy with my cat. My cat they discovered diabetes with him. But my spirit was telling me he does not have diabetes, but he has a higher sugar level in his blood. So I got the insulin and I gave him the insulin to help him to recover. But they told me it's not the diabetes, he has a disbalance in his body. So now I'm giving him healings to help him to get the balance back in his body, to let go of the disbalance. So I asked then, okay, can you stop with the insulin? And they said, yes, but not right away. He needs to, first the healing needs to really work properly. So it needs to do its work, and it can take some time for it to work. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, I need to give him the insulin until the point comes like, hey, the shift can come so that his body can really recover.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the same with humans and things. If you are not that light yourself, that you can really heal yourself heal yourself also maybe physically, you are still here in this reality. There's part of you in this reality. So in this reality, you might need a physician. So it's not the one doesn't exclude the other one if you are still in this dual consciousness.
Yeah, maybe it's a test if you think, oh yeah, I realize now that life is an illusion. I can do everything myself. Yeah. Okay, try to walk through a wall. Okay, then we'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if you can do that, then probably you don't need
jump
medicine.
Jump from a building if you're still alive. Then you.
Let's not say that, okay? Because
that is true.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm working on actually, we're not going to talk about my book, but I'm working on this book where I say reality is an illusion, but the illusion is real. So yeah, it's very real. It doesn't mean to say you can fly all of a sudden or walk through walls or something like that.
No.
But so from my experience with you is that's also what I appreciate. You're not, doesn't mean you cannot go on a retreat or something like that, which sometimes it can be really good. But in general, I think you're working with people in their lives, in their
daily life, because you need to find the light in your daily life is where you are, where you know. I don't think you need to. You can go to a retreat to maybe find some peace if you need that. Some people maybe have a too busy life or too many things happening in their life, so a retreat would be really good for them as a therapy thing. But it's in your daily life that you need to find your light. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson people can learn from that. It's very easy to go away and be on your own.
I think that's Joshua Stone as well who said that. Okay, it's easier to go and meditate in a cave in the Himalayas than to be in a relationship with another person.
Exactly. And the difficulty is, of course, like, hey, how do you find the balance in your relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's in this life that we need to do it. There's something I really want to add, is that people might think that they need, and I think in the past they did, lots of meditate, because they want to go high. They want to go there. Yeah. I don't know where there is.
Outside of Plato's cave.
Yes.
They want to escape Plato's cave.
Yes. And for me, it was always like, no, but you need to descend the light in you. The light needs to descend because you are soul and your soul is light. And that needs to descend in you here where you are.
It makes me think of somebody told me she's Hawaiian. And we were talking about education. And she said, we were talking about how people from different cultures view responsibility differently. So she said, well, in Hawaii, many people, if they have a chance to follow higher education, they go to the United States or another country or something like that. And in a lot of countries, it's like the dream is like you escape the country and you go somewhere else and you become a doctor in, I don't know, New York or whatever. But she said, no, but here the culture is that you go outside, take your education, but then you come back.
Yeah.
Because then you can bring what you've learned and what you've gathered, you can bring it back home and maybe integrate it there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's it's one way of seeing it. I see it differently, actually. I think that you should learn what you do where you are. Of course, when you have the education somewhere, that's something else. But we are talking about growing in consciousness.
Yeah.
So becoming conscious of something. And it can help, of course, to go on a meditation retreat, go away and then bring that back. But I think for the earthly matter, you miss a point, because they haven't really learned about how to cope with daily life things.
So because if you go on for Vipassana, they say, many people go on for Vipassana, you meditate for 10 days a lot, you don't speak, and then you feel very, you feel like, wow, I'm outside of Plato's cave or whatever. And then if you ask them, how do I keep this feeling? They say, well, you have to meditate every day 1 hour.
Yeah.
And what usually happens is people do that if they're very disciplined, they do that for a month and then life takes over.
Yeah.
But then the only answer is like, well, how do I keep this feeling? Well, you just need to meditate a lot, or you just need to do this or do that. It becomes like a recipe. Okay, if you want to grow in your life, you have to do this every day, and then you will grow.
Yeah. And I think and I think life is about everything we encounter here, about every feeling and emotion we have here in our relationship with our children, with our partners, with society. I think that's the big lesson. That's the lesson we need to concentrate on. Like, hey, what is happening? I'm feeling these things. What is happening? For me, life is about healing. It's not about meditation. Meditation is a part of it to help you. But I think it's about healing. Healing the burdens we have in our life that are blocking our light to shine. And all these feelings we encounter, all these pains and things we see or have in our life, is part of that journey. And when you gave that healing, when it's healed, it is gone. Then that part is leaving your system. And I think that is why we are here. Meditation is a part of it, but we are here to heal. We are here that our light is going to shine. And that we can change this dual consciousness by shining our light. Because your vision will be different. And the healing of the for me it's kind of like, okay, we heal the soul, or you don't heal the soul, you heal yourself from these burdens so that your soul comes free, and your soul is the light.
Well, it comes back to what you said in the beginning about the soul comes here to enter dual consciousness. Yeah. And then needs to clean.
Yes,
they need to. That's how you said it.
Yeah. I find it really remarkable, because what I've seen a few things, and I've written that in a little book. In my life, I've seen, since young age, I saw when people were passed away that they're going to the light. I didn't see them anywhere else. So that made me wonder, why did other people talk about different levels where they see people? And I was like, I see them in the light. That's what I see. So when I went for received all this information, actually, or what I could see, is that the soul is very happy when it's going to his journey here, because the dual consciousness is like a dark field with dual light in it. And they come very joyful here to, yes, I'm going to shine my light. That's why they come. Of course, they go through that consciousness, and then they come here and they lost, in a way, the connection. But the angels were telling me it's not the connection that is lost. It's just there. It's just they are cluttered with all this dual belief.
It's just like when you say just a newborn baby and they're so happy and everything,
exactly.
and then they grow up and there's dancing and whatever. And then at one point they become more and more serious.
It become more serious because they are cluttered with whatever
some people are exceptions, of course, fortunately. But
yeah. So it's what was your question again?
Well, it keeps coming back to the I think also to the book. The title of the book is The Soul's Task on Earth. Yeah. So that's what we're basically speaking about. And just before the question, so the book is only about 13 pages.
Mm-hmm. Frankly, 8.
It's
depends on, of course, the in A4
other pages. Yeah. What I've noticed from you following you over the years is that because you've written a lot, but you become more and more and more concise. Mm-hmm. So it's funny that what you say in these 8 pages, maybe before would maybe take you 100 pages or something like that. And it talks about these in this way that it's very direct and very precise. On the one hand, on very abstract things. I mean, they can be abstract if you don't feel them yourself or something. About the soul, about light, about...
Yeah, and it is in a way abstract, because I wanted to... It's just the explanation of things so people can have a view of like that. So and not many words are needed to like, okay, it's just this is that. And
no stories, no examples, no something. It's just, I think it's like you get it or you don't get it. And
you might believe it or not.
yeah. And then there's a switch in the book, and then it's all of a sudden it's very practical.
Yeah.
But very simple as well. Like, oh, this is what you can do. This is what you can do. So that's for me made the book very unique because you say you didn't read. So I bought the books in your shop that you didn't read yourself in your spiritual shop, right? So I've read many, philosophy, spiritual books and everything like that.
Yeah.
And basically it's so short, but in a good way, because it's the essence of it. And also what you need to do, if you write it like a recipe, it's not so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it is difficult to do that consistently and bring it into practice.
Yeah, but I did want to make it clear, not to with a lot around it. I want to make it clear what the message is about. And
maybe you can give one example of if people want to open more or they want to work spiritual, what is there one example that you can give that people can
do? The one thing they already can start to do is invite your soul to be present. So when you are maybe starting to meditate, be quiet with yourself, ask your soul to be present, because that's the main thing actually for all the healings you need to really let your light come out, because it's your soul that needs to become present, really present. And the soul is helping you to also help you to release the burdens that are with you. And we might not always know about the burdens because we are used to them. So we don't realize that many things we have here in this plane are a burden for our soul to shine.
It's like if you carry a backpack for a long time.
Yeah, you don't realize it.
And then you take off the backpack and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like that's of course the feeling of enlightened. It's like, hey, everything becomes more light. You see more clear. And you can start with maybe even heal yourself with your hands. Maybe hands-on healing. I don't know how you precisely say that, but invoke your soul and say like, okay, I want to give healing to myself. And then you put your hands where you feel like you need healing, and maybe you have a tummy ache or headache or something. And just feel and see what is happening.
Yeah. You once explained me like it's kind of like scientifically, just do the experiment, try it out. You don't have to believe something. You don't have to do something special, but just try. If you are open to try, you can just try this out.
Yeah.
And then if you do it, maybe you need to do it a couple of times. I don't know. But then you can see, do I feel something? Do I see something different?
Is there an influence on me? Yeah.
You have the book out now, that it's an ebook that people can get. And are there any other ways that you work with people?
Yes, what I do to help people now is to channel for them, because if you read the book, you would understand it. I think you understand it better. That the soul comes here to clean some stuff, and I channel what it is that they really need to clean, what's part of their cleaning process. So I make a report so that they understand that part they need to clean, and then they can heal it. And what I do is, if people can try, of course, to heal it themselves, depends on what they're doing themselves. But I also help them to heal in a session, to really like, oh, okay, you can, you discovered that these are the parts in you, and I show you and help you how to heal it. And I help, of course, with the energies too, because certain things I can take away, that's my gift, to help people to release better or to heal better or something like that. So, and that's allowed because it's part of the gift I got to really help people go through to the healing thing themselves much easier.
And does that need to be in person because you're in the Netherlands, or
it can be online?
You can do a session with people online.
Yeah, I can do it online. And and that's it actually for now, because I do also. I'm not working only with people. I work actually everywhere, even when I walk my dog. And I was in the woods last week, and I was busy with taking the dark energies away. And then I heard in the distance the reaction of a horse. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know there was a horse here in that area. And then I looked and I saw the horse far away, and he was reacting on the healing I was doing. He was really making noise and like a bit like, and I'm like, okay. So then I made personal contact with the horse. I was standing there in the distance, looking through the trees, and I was... and I thought, okay, I'm going to give him some personal healing. So I took away his suffering. And then the horse turned around and he watched me. So we were at this distance and we were looking straight to the trees, to each other, for, I think, a few minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes. And there was this energy flow happening. And then it was, okay, now it's done. And then he turned around and he did something else. And it was really beautiful. And then I realized, like, oh, wow, this is incredible. Yeah.
So I shared a few things about Plato's allegory. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Well, the thing is that... I had to look up what does actually allegory
But that's with
means.
everybody I invite, unless they're philosophers. Usually they ask me, why are you asking me? But that's what I want to know, because it's like a simple story, but you have different perspectives on it. Yeah. So that's why I ask about your perspective.
Yeah, my perspective is actually there is no allegory because everything can be taken away like that. And taken away from your conscious belief. And I think that's what the light is doing. The duality consciousness is not truth. It is a reality where we humans live in, but it's not truth. So in a way, it does not exist. And if in Plato's allegory is speaking about that what we see is not a reality, I say what you see is a reality, but it is not truth, and that you don't need to get out of a cave, but that your light needs to shine and it just disappears. Yeah. And I think that's the healing's about. Things can just be disappearing. If people can understand and come to a level of, hey, understanding the light, you can even tell yourself in your brain, like, oh, I don't want to think about this. And then it's gone. I've had experiences with the light which were really incredible because I went through my emotions as well. I had all those feelings and emotions and things as well. And I had it in the past happening that I was worried about something, and then something happened to me and I was really, really worried. And then for me, that was a big thing. For other people, it might be a small thing, but I was really worried. And then suddenly it was gone. And then it was like, I was worried before about something, but what was it again? And I really needed to think hard, but it was just gone out of my field. And that was when I was younger, I had those experiences, but I wasn't thinking about light and darkness and those things. Later, when I had experiences, then I saw how it worked, that it was really, when something was happening, and if I don't really need it, it was taken away, like from my emotions, and from my feelings and from my mind. Like it was sucked out like that. Woof! And I felt only light. I felt so much happiness. And it was gone. And then I thought even then also like, what was I worrying about again? And then it comes again like a memory. And it seems to be just a far memory. And that's it. And that's what the light is doing. The light can just take away all these things. It needs to take away all these things because light does not know the duality. It does not know the pain, the suffering, and those things. It can be taken away with a snap of the finger. So for me, the cave is you need to fight yourself out of it. And go through, follow a certain path. And somehow I don't think it's the path either. It's not the path. It's just like it happens. And when your soul is opening up and coming more present, it just happens and things will disappear and will just disappear. And because that's the truth. And we can make the life here the truth. Yeah, if you want, be my guest. If you want to suffer and see the suffering and be in that, yeah, you can do that. It's not who you are. It is not who you are.
Yeah, it's actually how you describe it. Let's say how you say other people read the cave. I think that's correct. But how I read it, that's actually very close to how you speak about it as well. That first of all, one of the things that people miss is that he's dragged out of the cave. So it's not like, oh, I woke upstairs, but it kind of just happens.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back into, a lot of people miss that actually the moment he realizes something, he goes right away back into the cave. But then it's also, Plato also describes how he cannot actually see the shadows anymore because his eyes are not used to he's blinded. You said it as well, blinded by the darkness.
Yeah.
Because when you go from a very bright space into a dark cave, you cannot see it anymore, and he cannot even imagine, like, what was I doing here? Why was I doing
exactly? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how
I think that is true because the light is taken away. So it's taken away, which is dual, which is shadows, dark, or whatever. It just takes away and wipes it out of your system. So if you talk about the cave, when you have you might maybe sitting in the cave, when it happens, the cave is just gone. You can't go back. You cannot feel it back because it's not real. Yeah. So the cave just disappears. It is you who keep yourself into that. It's like you are in a jail, but the door is open. That's the picture I see now.
Yeah.
The door is open. You can just let
the
go.
door is open, yeah. And it's similar to when you're watching a series on Netflix or something. Mm. But because they, there's a word for that, but you cannot switch it off because it's so addicted, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, you can just get up and walk away, but you're so into the drama and everything like that. But it doesn't mean that you're actually in that series and that you're actually being prevented from just switching off the TV or doing something else or whatever. Yeah. And you also don't have to switch off the series in order to realize that. If you think, okay, I'm just gonna stop it, or if I don't enjoy it anymore, I need to do something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want?
There is one thing I do want to say, and that's about the angels. And the angels are the real helpers here on this plane, which I discovered. They were there in the beginning of when I, let's say, awakened. And at the end, now that I'm doing my work, they are so present, and I've seen so many things happening. I'm becoming more conscious because I have seen through the years many things. I kept myself busy with many things, also religious things or Sufi things or those things. But I returned to the angels, to put it that way. I returned
where you
to
started.
the angels. Yeah, where I started. What happened then? And like, oh, wow, this is it. And it's really beautiful because when we are light, people talk about love and light, like they're one and that we're one. And I never felt that. I never saw that. I never saw the light being love. I never saw it. And now the angels explained it to me too. I've written about that in the book too. But this love is really important because the angels are giving that love. That love comes from their field. And for us humans to really live on earth, we need to let our soul become present. So that's your light. But the heart needs to be opened, and that's the love. As humans, you cannot live here and create this, let's say, this beautiful world of love and light without that love. We need that love to be present here. Otherwise, we can't be here as humans. And what I've seen as well is that I've seen in the energies, people who meditated a lot, but returned to earth. And they were even really beautiful light souls who are incarnated on earth, but doesn't feel they belong here and cannot ground themselves and cannot, they want to go up, they feel like they don't feel connection. But they needed to return to discover what is true love. And that's, of course, I talk about the true love is from the cosmic love. It's from the angels, and that's the unconditional love, to put it that way. Because the heart needs to be open. And then we can live here really as humans. And we can create this beautiful world here.
Yeah, so if you're talking about people who feel like they don't belong here,
yeah,
I think there's many people who feel like that, yeah. Right? Especially now where with all that is going on in the world and everything, I think many people have the feeling like what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah. Why did I? So then, and
I don't want to return to this. If I incarnate again, I would not return.
Whatever,
here.
And they might not even have make a spiritual connection or something like that. But the feeling of I don't belong here. What am I doing here? Yeah, I think it's very common. Yeah. So then you're saying, okay, this is if there's maybe an answer, it's you're here to open your heart.
It's to open your heart if you are really if your soul is already in that light. So if your soul is already present, because otherwise your soul needs to become present too. So there are two things: the soul becoming really present and the opening of the heart.
We could do a whole other episode about love.
Yes,
Maybe
exactly.
That's a good idea, but there's a lot to say about that as well. But yes.
Yeah. But I just wanted to mention that and that this dual consciousness is not a mistake. And in the book I explain it, but the dual consciousness is not a mistake. We are just here to transform it. And with the beautiful soul light we have in us, and with the help of the angels, with that love. And then we can create this beautiful world.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you as well for inviting me.